What's up, guys, and welcome to another video. We have a late night discussion with Uncle Mike, where today's topic is going to be about how to get ahead in your 20s. Coming from an individual who is 35 years old, who's been there, done that, seen a lot, tried a lot, and is arguably in a position where I'm quite content and has done all right for himself. So allow me to help you guys out. So first of all, I meet a lot of kids or people in their 20s who are a little bit lost. They don't know what it is they want to do with their life. My advice to you guys, just try different things. Just get up off your ass and do something. Because by doing something, you're going to figure out what it is that you like to do and what it is you don't like to do. I've done all sorts of things in the past where I've been a gardener, I've been a club promoter, I've been a manager of a retail store, a personal trainer, online coach, the list goes on. But I tried those different jobs and I learned from them and figured out what it is that I don't want to do with my life and what kind of a life I want to live for myself. So go out there and do something. For somebody in their 20s, particularly if they're in their early 20s, you probably don't really have much skills or anything of value to offer the world. So you have to spend quite a lot of this chapter learning. Now, you could no doubt go and try and learn something that you're really interested in, which would make sense. Or you could learn some skills which are likely to get you far in life. Skills such as sales, negotiation, AI, tech, those types of things, okay? Especially with AI. I mean, I lived in a very different world when I was in my 20s. It didn't even exist. Now it exists. Now it's probably going to take over. It's already taken over. So get to grips with how that works and become almost at one with it, because no doubt the better you are at integrating your life with AI and understanding it, the further ahead you're going to get. I would also advise getting really good at one thing. Once you've figured out what things you like to do, what you don't like to do, once you've accumulated those basic skills that are no doubt going to get you far, if you find one thing which you can become really good at, then that is the thing which is going to separate you from the rest of the world. Most of the people who I have met who are killing it, people I've had on my podcast, people who've made a lot of money, sold businesses, whatever it might be, they usually tend to be particularly good at one thing, and they go all in on that one thing and make sure that they are one of the best in the world at that thing. Communication. Now, this could come under the previous skill sets which I was talking about, but I feel like this just deserves an entire point to itself, because the art of communicating will get you so far and is probably one of the things that held me back for so long, because I wasn't very good at communicating. I was not good at speaking in front of people. I was not good at articulating my thoughts. I was not good at speaking on camera. I was just this nervous, awkward. If you look back at some of my older videos, it was just a bit of a mess and pretty embarrassing, to be honest. So the better you are at communicating, the further ahead you will get in life, and the better the relationships that you will be able to establish from very early on. When it comes to investments, there's some people who say, oh, it's good to invest early on in stocks, shares, things like that. I'm not going to say that's wrong, but I would prioritize the investment into yourself first. I did not invest into stocks and shares when I was in my 20s. A lot of any spare cash which I had, I invested right back into myself, into travel, content creation, acquiring new skills, basically something that was going to elevate myself, my skill set, and be of some use. It wasn't money that was going to waste. It was money that was going to benefit me in some way, shape, or form. Even if it means buying a membership at a gym that is quite expensive. If you go to expensive gyms, you will be training with other people that have money, and this can open a lot of doors for you potentially, compared to if you go to your budget gym where you're just going to be training with the average Joe. Next, I would advise you to move to where the action is. This is so important. If you want to get ahead and you want to improve your chances of networking and being inspired and placing yourself where all the opportunities are going to be, you're going to have to be there for the majority of the time. If you isolate yourself, live in a little village where there's not much going on, the chances for you to network and get out and about, get inspired and meet people is going to be much more difficult. Sure, you can have your Zoom calls and online sessions, but there is no substitute from getting a feel for what it's like to be in the place where the action is. So I would relocate to where the big cities are, where the wealth is, where the entrepreneurs and go-getters are, and get yourself fully stuck in. Be careful who you trust. Unfortunately, in my 20s, I made a couple of decisions and trusted some individuals who did not have good intentions and were not necessarily very honest, and it didn't really end that well. I'm kind of glad I made those mistakes because it saved me from making those mistakes at a later age when it could have been a lot more costly and stressful, no doubt. But you have to understand that there are a lot of shady motherfuckers out there who will do anything just to make money. And not all of them are as good as you are or have those strong morals and ethics when it comes to business and making money. So if you are going to go into business with anyone or make deals, have partnerships, get solid contracts in place, get good lawyers, and just do a bit of research into who the person is that you're dealing with. What's their track record like? Have they got a good reputation in their industry? If not, and you don't know who they really are, but everything kind of sounds really good, almost too good to be true, walk away. Build your physique. Now this one, I mean, it's pretty friggin' obvious that I'm going to say this one, but I think a lot of people underestimate how far a good physique will get you. Now, I'm not saying you have to be completely jacked beyond belief, but you have to look as though you do take care of yourself, right? You don't want to be fat. You don't want to look timid and weak. You want to look like you can handle yourself. You got good posture when you walk in the room. You know, there's a presence about you. And when people look at you and you have a good physique, it shows, okay, this guy is disciplined, right? He has the ability to be consistent at something, to resist temptation. He looks like somebody who, I don't know, maybe I want to do business with him. Maybe I want to get to know him. You can't even believe how far I have got in life just by having a good physique. And I'm not just talking about social media or YouTube, but when it comes to relationships, when it comes to starting conversations, literally everything is so much better when you're in shape. And then on top of that, mental clarity, fitness, health, everything's just better. So just start working on that as soon as possible. You don't have to spend all day every day in the gym, but at least be consistent with going a couple times a week, because those small efforts every week will compound and you will have a pretty solid physique after a couple of years of doing that. Quick pause, guys. I need to tell you something. It's that time of the year where everyone's on the winter arc hype, where they're building their physique, which they plan to reveal at some point in the summer of 2026. But I hate to be the guy that says it. Most of you are going to end up getting fat. You'll be overeating, you'll be following some sort of a program which isn't actually going to be getting your results. You're going to be improvising on the spot, no doubt. You won't be tracking, there'll be no structure, just random exercises with minimal progress seen on a week-to-week basis. Pretty frustrating, right? Well, that's the whole reason why I built the Thirst app, to help busy people like yourself find a system they can actually stick to over a long period of time. We have thousands of transformations from men and women who just plug into the app and get the exact plan they need for their goals, show up to the gym, and just put in the work, all for less than an hour of their time. I've got a special offer running for you guys right now. For less than the price of a one-to-one PT session, you get access to over hundreds of programs and hundreds of different meal plans, everything which you could possibly need to get yourself in shape. So if you actually want to stick to something and see results without taking things to the absolute extremities, click the link in the bio. Let's get on with the video. Take risks and do so as often as you can. You see, when you're in your 20s, you don't really have a whole lot to lose. You don't have a family. You maybe don't have a partner. You don't have kids. You don't have a whole lot of responsibility. So taking the risk is not going to be that bad if it doesn't work out. As you get older, in your 30s and 40s, you're more likely going to be risk averse. I still like to take a risk from time to time, but am I willing to take as big of a risk as I did when I was in my 20s? Probably not. So go for it, take the risk. What's the worst that could happen? Taking advice is very important, but it's more important to take advice from the people who are living a life that you want to live. When you're in your 20s and you're younger, there's obviously a lot of people who are older than you that have become successful. Maybe they've made a load of money, they've sold businesses, they have a large social media following. There's a lot of people doing podcasts. There's a lot of information going around. Now, you can't absorb all of it, and you shouldn't necessarily absorb all of it. And something which I realized when I was growing up, there were certain people who, they had done very well for themselves, but they certainly weren't living a life that I wanted to live. So everything they said I took with a pinch of salt, because I knew that the life they were living was coming at a costs which I was not prepared to make. So I actively sought out and tried to find these individuals who had become very successful, and they were living a life that I wanted to live. And everything that they had done, I studied it, or I tried to reach out to them and ask them questions how they did it. I basically just wanted to figure out what was the blueprint from then being a normal person to getting to the place where they are now, and how I could also do the same, because their life is a life that I would like to live for myself. Don't chase the women, let the women chase you. This is very important. I've seen so many guys waste precious time, energy, and resources trying to chase a woman who doesn't even care about them. I managed to, get on dates, but a lot of the time, a lot of the women who I really wanted to be with, they just weren't interested in me. And that was largely because, first of all, I just didn't have my shit together. I didn't have my finances together. I was not as good as a communicator. My emotions were kind of a bit all over the place. I didn't really understand them. And women in their 20s, that's when they're in their prime. They're going to get scooped up by the older guys who have money, maturity, and the lifestyle which they probably want. So understand that your time will come. 30s are wild when it comes to dating. It will get to the point where they'll be queuing up to date you, assuming that you've done everything right in your 20s that you should have done. Prioritize your career, you've got your finances in order, you've learned your skills, you become a better communicator, and so on. Get rid of your shitty relationships and friendships. Okay, so just have a little think and look around at your current circle, maybe the relationship that you're in right now. If those people are not supporting you, in fact, they're just holding you back from unlocking like your true potential, or they're just joking at the things that you want to do for yourself or the direction you want to go, you have two options. You either get rid completely or you just spend less time with them. So there will be little lonely chapters, but if there is friends which are holding you back, you just have to see them less often. And if you're in relationships where your partner is just not supportive, they don't understand the mission that you're on, and all they do is cause you drama and stress, just walk away and call it a day, because trust me, there's going to be better options on the horizon. Travel as much as you possibly can. There's one thing which I've noticed, being in my 30s now, I just don't have as much energy and willingness to travel the world like I used to in my 20s. I think that's because I'm just a lot more settled now with this comfortable environment, and usually traveling can be quite stressful. And if I'm going to travel now, there's a standard at which needs to be met when I'm flying or when I'm staying in a particular hotel or accommodation. It comes at a cost, so it does get pretty expensive. Whereas before, when I was in my 20s, I literally did not have any problem flying economy because I didn't know any better. And on top of that, I was just pretty cool sleeping on an uncomfortable bed in a very basic apartment or hotel. Like, I just didn't mind because I had not necessarily experienced the luxuries in life at this stage. So travel as much as you can, and if anything, if you're still living in your home country, spend some time abroad. If there's one thing which I regret, it's not spending more time in different countries in my 20s. I did go on little vacations, but I didn't really get the experience of living in different places. And by living in different places, I'm talking about doing a couple months there, or even 6 months, or maybe even a year. I waited until the age of 29 to finally get out of the UK. I recommend anybody who is young, even if you're in your late teens, early 20s, don't be afraid to go and relocate and give somewhere else a try. You don't have to live there forever. Just get a little taster of it, and then you can always go back home or you can move on to the next spot. But believe me, travel's one of the best things that you could possibly do. Document as much as possible. Again, this is something which I regret I did not do sooner. Fortunately, I did start when I was 26 and I hopped on YouTube, but I'm not saying that everybody has to be a YouTuber, but documenting your journey is something amazing that you can look back upon, especially if you do have a great deal of success. You don't necessarily have to publish it, but at least you've got it there for you to look back upon, witness and observe the journey that you've had. And no doubt, you probably will get to the point where you will want to share it and show the journey of how you've gone from rock bottom to being this huge successful person that you are. One of the best skills which I have acquired from documenting my journey is just my ability to speak on camera. It's such a great skill to acquire, and it comes very easily just from sheer practice of talking to the camera and documenting things as often as you can do. So there you go. That's a list of my top things that I would advise you to do so that you can get ahead in your 20s and absolutely kill it when it comes to you being in your 30s. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.